Today I'm going to be reviewing the game between me and my chess engine called Ferrous. And in this game, Ferrous actually managed to draw against me. This game was very telling of how players of almost all levels succumb to unfamiliar positions. And by almost all levels, I mean most of chess players. And if you think that masters are the exception, that's funny of you to think so. Anyway, here's the analysis. In this game, I decided to play a completely different opening, which is knight c3. Notice the righty opening. Ferrous played knight c6, and we transpose into the normal d4 d5 opening. You might have heard that this is bad to put your knight in front of the c-pawn in the d4 d5 opening. However, it's more of a positional thing, and it's not like a trap where you can just execute a 5-move plan and win a piece. This has to be punished slowly and deliberately throughout the game. And that's exactly what I failed to do. Bishop f4, bishop g4, putting pressure on my knight. I play e3 to be ready to capture with a queen. Here Ferrous plays knight f6. I include this unnecessary move h3, which is basically asking the bishop a question, whether it wants to take my knight or go back to h5 and maintain the pin. The bishop goes back, and I have a choice here. I can either play c3, knight d2, which will be kind of a London system, but with this move h3. But I decide to play it more aggressively, and I play c4, queen d7, knight c3, and here Ferrous makes the first mistake, which is taking the pawn. Might seem natural, why would you not take? So the reason for that is because in these positions with black, especially with the knight in front of the c-pawn, you have really only one source of counterplay, which is this move knight to e4. And the reason why this move is so strong is because the e4 square in white's position is weak due to the pawn push. So the plan here should be to put your knight on that square. However, if you do it right now, you lose the pawn on d5, because I have two attackers and you have only one valuable defender. So the correct plan here would be to reinforce the pawn first. And then after something like g4 happens, you just pull the bishop back, let's say c5, and now you're actually able to play the counterplay move. However, in this position, you never have the move knight e4 in the first place, because you lost the only pawn that was anchoring that square for you. Here I recapture the pawn. Stockfish gives it an inaccuracy sign. This time I cannot really explain why it's an inaccuracy. What I noticed generally is that this new Stockfish 18 version tends to hate on human moves more than Stockfish 17.1. That's probably because it got better, and the human plans for it become more and more far-fetched. That's a good thing, I guess. Anyway, Ferrous plays long castling here, which is a mistake. And the reason here is quite straightforward, unlike the previous move. The reason why this move is a mistake is because my pieces are aligned for an attack. For example, here I have this very natural move bishop b5, and the follow-up will be rook c1, queen a4, but before you play queen a4, it's generally good to play g4 to prevent any captures on f3. But here I see that my king is in the center, and I decide to castle first, which is a little too slow, and after king b8, now I play bishop b5. And here I have a very straightforward plan, which I just named, queen a4, rook c1, and if you don't do anything about it, I'm actually gonna be winning this knight, I think, because there's always rook d1 and pawn to d5 move, which wins the knight. You have to be very careful with black here. Ferrous tries its best to defend, plays a6. I pull the bishop back, and here a move that I really hate, but at the same time I don't know what else you can do here. b5. Obviously, it's an anti-pattern to push your pawns in front of the king. And here, white has a very nice sacrifice, which you can pause and try to find. So the sacrifice is on the square, and you sacrifice not the bishop, but the knight. Knight takes b5. And the point is that after recapturing and bishop takes b5, you're forced to win the knight back. Because if black does nothing, let's say plays e6, you just play rook c1. The knight is hanging. You have no defense whatsoever. And if black tries to play like this, trying to escape the pin, I play rook c1 anyway. And now if the knight moves, here comes bishop c7 check. That's a fork. But even if you don't see it in the game, just pulling the bishop back to either square leaves you with a crushing advantage. The evaluation here is something about +2. It might not be very clear, but it's winning in the long run because your king is actually more safer than his. However, what I do here is horrendous. I play this move queen to b3, simply blundering a draw. And Ferrous, to its credit, finds the draw, which is knight a5. And the point is, my queen has to stand on this line, pinning the pawn. If I move back, I lose my bishop, and it's basically a draw. So I have to play queen b4, and here comes knight c6. Technically, it's not the cleanest draw that Ferrous could have come up with. The cleanest was to first take the knight, and then after I recapture, then play knight a5. Because when he plays knight a5 right away, I have this move knight e5, counterattacking his queen. And let's say if the queen moves, I just play queen b4 now. And if now knight c6, I just capture it. And I'm not losing. However, I didn't find it. I don't remember why exactly. Maybe I was too excited that Ferrous could find a draw against me, so I didn't even bother. Or maybe I just missed it. That happens. So we just repeated the position and therefore claimed a draw. This is exactly how the game went. It's slightly embarrassing for me as a chess player to lose to a depth 3 chess engine. However, it also makes me proud as the creator of that thing. I decided to not include the last game into this video because it was nothing to look at, and if you're interested anyway, I will leave it under the video.